sir. Is he allowed to be in here?
And this is also recorded in case he did anything.
Y'all steal my shit, watch. Right there. Just get out with an AR-15.
Hello again, folks. What you're about to see is a young mother with an infant child getting shot by a pellet just after having fed that infant child in front of her husband and the baby's father. You're going to see that both of these parents look directly at toward where the pellets came from. You're going to see that father in the subsequent clip walking over there to confront the people who fired these pellets. I want to point out that Maynard Police Department, when they were notified about this, did not allow the father to press charges. And when I complained and said, these are my guests on my property, this was captured on video, they didn't let me press charges either. This is bizarre. It's not something that people believe happened when I tell them about it. And thank goodness we have video of it. You're about to see the shocking events for yourselves. So here you see the dad, Michael, hasn't stopped to put on a shirt or shoes or anything. He's walked directly across the street where he heard the shots. So you saw both he and his wife looking in that direction in the previous clip. Finds Justin pretending to be asleep in the cab of the pickup truck. Hears something, moves over to the other side because William Billy Chitwood is busy hiding the pellet guns in the tent that Justin has been trying to live in for a number of months in the corner of the property in order to not be stuck inside the trailer. After seeing this, trying to speak with both of them and receiving no response, the father walks back, and then we see Billy Chitwood emerging from the tent and walking back out toward the truck after having hidden the pellet guns there. The young mother who was struck by the pellet was severely agoraphobic and terrified of any conflict. Initially, she didn't even want to give a statement to police. Her husband was furious about what had happened. So I called the next day, called Maynard Police Department, and asked to press charges. And Officer Dealey responded, and this person told me that because I hadn't been struck by the pellet, that I had no grounds to press charges against the people who had fired it. This is obvious nonsense. I own the property where the assault happened, where the damage was done, where the person was injured, and those people were my guests. Of course I have the right to press charges. Nonetheless, Officer Dealey and Maynard Police Department refused to allow that to proceed. About a week and a bit later, Michael, the husband and father, had convinced his wife that the right thing to do was to press charges and make sure that these people who had behaved so poorly would face some justice. He went down to, first we called Maynard Police Department again, and this time an officer Haupt responded, H-A-U-P-T. Haupt took a statement from the young mother, whom we're not going to name here at her request, and also took a statement from me. Again, I asked to press charges. Haupt said, no, it's only up to her whether or not she wants to press charges, because evidently Haupt doesn't understand the law despite being a police officer. About a week after that, the husband finally went down and said, I'm going to press charges myself. You're about to see a copy of that incident report they didn't even let him press charges, despite the fact that it was his wife who was struck by this pellet, and despite the fact that it was all captured on video. This is shockingly bad policing, and it's indicative of nothing more than a continued bias and an effort to not provide police services to us. Here we have the incident number that was recorded by Haupt. And again, I swear to goodness, you can't make this up. I mean, it's just bizarre. It boggles the mind. You know, here we have a Maynard police officer saying that, yeah, it was captured on camera. There are loud pops heard. She was struck. We know where it came from. And, but, you know, we told her that she said a week ago that she didn't want to press charges. So now you can't. There's such a thing called statute of limitations. People are allowed to change their minds once they've had a chance to calm down and think about something. And this is just, I don't know. I mean, I can't even, we've been recording these videos. We've been putting this out here. We're just tired of being so shocked by this. We've been living with this for years. This clearly happened. It was clearly a crime. It was an assault. If nothing else, it was firing a weapon across the roadway. If nothing else, they should have been charged with that. And again, they just say, we're not going to do anything. It seems as if Maynard Police Department's idea of policing is to essentially do nothing, or the very least possible. And in our case, just absolutely nothing at all. This statement is absurd. Saying that Michael understood and left, that doesn't. Michael didn't say that this was right. He just understood that Maynard Police Department is garbage and wasn't actually going to prosecute this crime. Now, to put this in context, Maynard Police Department turned down both the father/husband's request to press charges and also my request just 2 days after two high school students and one of those high school students' mothers from Elgin were brutally murdered just 10 miles down the road. Both the then mayor and the then police chief published extensive, very eloquent letters about zero tolerance for violence and broken window policing, and about see something, say something. And yet, despite this being only 2 days later, when I called them both out online, these two pillars of the community, these two sterling gentlemen's valiant response was to do less than nothing. Their courageous response in the wake of those horrific events, when presented with concrete proof of emergent violence in their own backyard, was to block me on social media. You'll pardon me for being just a little bit emotional here, but I'll just say that it's understandable that Michael, the first-time father of an infant child, was disgusted by the cowardice of these two wankers. Their hypocrisy was appalling. And needless to say, he didn't feel safe continuing to rent in this apartment any longer. Of course, he terminated the remainder of his contract. And of course, we ended up having to make a very substantial financial refund, because Maynard Police Department evidently cares a lot about looking good online, but doesn't give a crap about doing their job. Because they'd gotten away with literally shooting a nursing mother while she was holding her infant child, the Chitwood brothers were very much emboldened. And over the next number of weeks, they fired hundreds, perhaps thousands, of pellets at our building, at our security cameras, at our car, causing substantial damage to the vehicle. They would even enter into the alleyway behind the building and fire pellets at our windows, trying to terrify our guests in the middle of the night. Every morning, we would try to wake up early and go outside and pick up the pellets before our guests left, just so that they wouldn't see them and be frightened by this. Of course, we reported this to the Maynard Police Department, and again, they did absolutely nothing to help. In the end, we had no choice but to go to court. We did go to court, and we prevailed. We won a $57,000 judgment in damages from the Chitwoods, and we know full well that they're unlikely to ever be able to actually pay that. But much more importantly, the judge issued an injunction against any further damaging behavior, such as yelling insults or threats, or throwing things onto our property, like, I don't know, fireworks, or maybe shooting pellets across the road. And very importantly, there were specific penalties attached to that injunction. $10,000 per incident for the person doing it, and against the owner of the property for letting it happen on her property, or 30 days in jail for the person doing it or the owner, or both. Of course, we gave a copy of this judgment and injunction to Maynard Police Department, but the behavior did not slow down. It seemed as if the court order actually infuriated them, and things got much worse. Maynard Police Department still did not intervene, and there hasn't been $1 of fines collected, nor have any of them spent a single day in jail. Just a couple months ago, the current chief of Maynard Police Department, Chief Phipps, spent a considerable amount of time in front of the cameras describing in detail how the dedication, insight, and professionalism of his department had allowed them to participate in the arrest of 4 people under suspicion of a possible threat. Now, I don't want to detract from that at all. We need proactive policing. Proper policing is critical to the success and growth of any city. And lest anybody think otherwise, none of these videos that I'm posting are about trying to tear police forces down in general. The worst thing for good policing is to shelter bad cops, and exposing the bad cops is what this is all about. Where Chief Phipps has missed the ball, and where I'd like to get a straight answer from him on, is how were 4 different law enforcement agencies mobilized to arrest 4 people because one teenager posed with an AR-15 and made some grandiose comments online with non-specific threats, whereas here we've had a person who's a convicted felon with more than a dozen years of federal penitentiary time from a felonious family who's involved in an ongoing criminal enterprise in the sale of drugs that's known to police. It's either known to police and they're crooked, or it's not known to police because they're incompetent. But in any case, an ongoing problem for years with actual threats of violence captured on camera, threats to rape my wife, actual shots fired, drug deals captured on camera, police walking onto my property to inform me that yes, there's a bullet in your building and can we come and take it out and are you all safe? A young mother shot by a pellet gun, and a person parading with an AR-15 in real life, not online, not making vague comments that might be interpreted as a threat, but parading with an AR-15 and saying things like, I finally get to shoot someone with this bitch. And what did Maynard Police Department do in the face of years of all of this? Absolutely nothing. The hypocrisy is galling. The only explanation is simply not one that any of us want to be true of the police department that we're supposed to be depending upon. We need your help. Up until now, we've been fighting this battle entirely on our own. Please go to MPD Misdemeanors, the channel on YouTube, and subscribe. Please go to GoFundMe and donate what you can. We need to work together to hold our police department to a proper, professional standard of conduct. We can't do it alone. We need your help. Thank you so much.